Good afternoon, all participants. Now let us begin with our post-lunch session. We are having with us Sachin Manot sir from Harikrupa Automation Private Limited. He has done his BE in Computer Science from Pune University, and he is having 12 years of vast experience in working with automation and IoT. He is having expertise in design of IoT solutions. And now I would like to invite Sachin sir to carry forward this session. Yes, Sachin sir, you can take it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for introducing me, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the solution architecture amongst you. I'll just share my screen and I will start. So, is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. And today I'll be conducting two sessions. First
Hello,
would be
sir. Sorry to interrupt you, but sir, your
sure.
voice is very low.
Okay.
So, if
Is
possible,
it clear now? Is it better now?
now it is coming much better.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I'll
Good.
maintain the tone. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So today I'll be conducting two sessions. First would be solution architecture of IoT, and after the break there would be communication protocols for IoT. So those two sessions I'll be conducting. So what all topics would be covered in those two sessions? So first would be industrial IoT and cloud. What are the objectives and the solutions? Then smart energy management system functionalities, success stories, the kind of projects we have done. Amongst that would be a Gujarat Sky project case study for industrial IoT for smart grid and smart RE. Then the implementation of unified smart grid and smart RE platform using IIoT. So how we can, what is the proposed architecture? Then the different architecture components, industrial IoT and cloud platform layers, edge computing, which is nothing but Intellimon, and cloud computing, which is nothing but a IntelliSCADA. So those topics would be covered as a part one session. Then we have a part two session wherein we'll be covering Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. What is the national level solar energy data management platform? What they have conceived? What are the objectives? What is their high level architecture? What is their module level architecture? Then we'll be covering communication, different communication modes, communication connectivity, communication modes, communication protocols. What has been the security architecture and communication message formats. So almost 17 topics should be covered amongst these two sessions. So we at HKRP Innovations, we are on a mission to improve availability and improve productivity. So basically we are targeting to reduce the downtime, losses and energy consumption by deploying IIoT and cloud enabled smart and innovative energy solutions for smart grid. So what type of infrastructure we are covering? So power transformers, substation monitoring, then CSS, PSS, RMU, distribution transformer, prosumer service connections. So prosumers are nothing but the consumers who are generating solar energy. So they are prosumers. Then in smart city, we are covering waste, water and wastewater distribution systems, outdoor lighting, and in smart RE, we are covering solar rooftops, windmill, solar megawatt, and solar water pumps. So architecture which we have designed for IIoT solutions has been applicable to all these three areas: smart grid, smart RE, and smart city. So coming to smart energy management system. So basically we are ensuring that reduction in downtime happens because of deployment of this solution, reduction in losses and energy bills, and reduction in operation and maintenance cost. So what benefits are achieved? So because of deploying the smart energy management system, it gives better visibility. So what are different indicators we achieve are mains power supply availability that would be available. So real time monitoring can happen because of this. Then the backup supply status, whether the system is on or off, whether the output supply status is available or not. Then currently in case of prosumers, whether they are importing or exporting the energy, so that we can monitor. And then notification on status change, so whether the power has switched on or off, or if in case of appliances such as solar pump, so whether pump has been switched on or switched off, so that we can monitor. Then automated operations, we come to know threshold based operation can happen. So if we have defined a threshold, if 80% has reached, then automatic operation can happen. Then the sensor based operation, so we can integrate the sensors, so we can sense analog inputs or digital inputs, and based on that we can take the operations. Then M2M operations, so if on one place if anything happens, based on that we can take a call for different locations, so that's M2M operations. Then we have a scheduled operation, so we can schedule the operations based on our timing. So if you want to have say at 6 o'clock some operation should happen, then we can schedule that operation. Then we have astronomical timer operations, So in astronomical timer operation, we can schedule the operation based on sunrise and sunset, pre sunrise 10 minutes earlier or post sunrise 10 minutes later. So accordingly, we can do astronomical timer based operation, which could be very well utilized in smart city solutions such as street light monitoring systems. So that can switched on and switched off based on astronomical timers. So because based on astronomical timer operation, it may happen that we should be able to save a lot of energy if we observe the requirement of street lights in winter and in summer areas. So there is a vast gap. So in summer areas, in case of Ahmedabad, so it could be around 7:20 or 7:15 in the evening that we need street lights to be switched on, whereas in winter it could be 6:40. So there would be a gap of 40-45 minutes. If we could save on that, then it will be a huge saving. So as these energy bills are running into the crores, so even if we are able to save 5 to 8%, it will be a huge amount. So that's where astronomical timer based operation could come into the picture. Then the pattern generation, how energy pattern is going on. Let's work out on Sunday, how it is behaving on weekends or weekdays, how it is behaving, how it was, how the pattern was same day last year or same day 3 months ago. So that's why that's how we can compare the patterns and take decisions. Then we can get the event notifications. So over voltage notifications, overload or high demand notifications, power factor, poor power factor notification, voltage unbalance notification, abnormal condition or equipment health notifications. So all those notifications are possible based on the solution requirement. So that's how we should be able to reduce O&M cost because of this earlier notifications, and we should be able to reduce the downtime and save the losses and energy bills based on this automated operations as well as continuous monitoring. On top of this, we can get performance analysis and reports. So what all analysis we can do, we can check whether the trend of supply is going on. So availability of supply, interruption analysis, how it is interrupted at regular intervals. Then the percentage capacity utilization. So suppose we have X capacity and how much it is being utilized now. Then the generation performance, whether we have a bell curve or not, how it is generating, what is the performance of the generation, and then the what could be the issue behind low generation. So we can compare nearby areas also, whether this generation is constantly low across all users, or it is specific to the problem, specific location. So that we can analyze. Then net energy transaction, so how much energy has been generated, how much has been consumed, and how much has been imported. So based on that net energy transaction we can analyze. Then the efficiency, so CUF calculation can happen. Then what is the efficiency of these plant or any particular solution. Then the productivity and energy loss, so that we can analyze. Then percentage energy savings analysis, so percentage off duty consumption, percentage over voltage consumption, percentage poor factor consumption, and percentage overload consumption. So based on this we can know either save the energy, we can improve if there is a poor power factor, and extra uses of energy can be identified. So these are the broad areas what smart energy management solution offers. So what has been our success story? So we have deployed more than 500 plus rooftops RMS system across India. We have deployed more than 1500 plus IoT solar pumps across Gujarat and Rajasthan. Then we have more than 200 megawatt plus IoT solar megawatt monitoring systems. Then we have IoT street light CCMS solutions across India, more than 3000, and more than 5000 plus systems for smart grid has been deployed across Gujarat. So coming to the main topic, solution architecture of IoT. So just before going on to the architecture, I'll just identify the key outcomes achieved for Gujarat Sky project. So which was the first project we did based on the architecture. So key indicators are more than 80 plus feeders has been included in this project till now. Then more than 500 plus consumers are there. More than 20,000 plus systems has been integrated, devices such as energy meters, and more than 2 million parameters are connected to this architecture. So what we are covering is measurement and monitoring, as I have covered in last slide. Then the audit and analysis, smart control, protections and operations, and overall smart grid management. So what we could achieve because of this solution and architecture, we achieved better grid stability. As in case of this project, it was mandatory that minimum 70% of the farmer or consumers on this particular feeder should be solar consumers, or I would say prosumers. So because of this, it achieved better grid stability, then achieved higher availability of supply, because daytime power had three-phase availability had to be ensured. So achieved better, higher availability of supply, and more than 20% reduction in losses. So that's a huge achievement, more than 20% reduction in feeder losses. So this has been recognized by India Smart Grid Forum, and has been rewarded with this award for this project. So 15 to 20% reduction in losses, from 25 to 30% existing losses to 6 to 8% of multiple feeders of all four discoms of Gujarat. So almost from 80 out of 80 feeders, this loss has been achieved in almost 6 to 8% of the feeders. So that was the key outcome of Surya Gujarat project, Surya Shakti Kisan Yojana project. So what all points has been taken into the consideration while designing this solution? So to come up with the proper architecture, so these were the parameters when we came up with the architecture. So first was the multiple grid equipment. So there were 66 kV power transformer, there was 11 kV breakers, there were distribution transformer, there were renewable energy plants, and there were prosumer service connections. So they were the major grid equipment that we wanted to integrate. Then there were multiple devices which we had to integrate. So that was a data acquisition system. Then there were energy meter and numeric relays. Then there were inverters, then pump controllers and drive, and the energy meter. So these could be the devices which we need to integrate in this architecture. Then the multiple stakeholders. So SLDC is a stakeholder, as we are involved into the substation level automation. Then the transmission companies are involved, discoms are involved, then solar EPC are involved, as they are investing in the renewable energy plants, and the consumer himself. So again, multiple stakeholders are there which had to be taken care of while designing the architecture. So a unified solution for all these grid equipments, all these devices, and all these stakeholders has been designed. So it's a single platform which is scalable. So we can deploy, let's say, 40,000, 50,000, or a million devices on this single platform. It's interoperable. So substation solution can also be integrated. Energy monitoring system can be integrated. Streetlight monitoring solution can be integrated, or renewable energy plant monitoring system can also be integrated. So it's interoperable. Then the entire solution is encrypted using AES 256. So security has been taken care of, that there is no loose endpoints, and to avoid MIM. Then the secured authentication and authorization. Each individual RMS system, remote monitoring system, or IoT DCU system, has been uniquely identified based on its unique credentials. So there are two ways. One is username and password based encryption, and other is TLS certificate based, client certificate based authentication. So those two security has been incorporated. Then remote monitoring and operations. So all these possibility has been integrated in this single platform. Then what all functions we are able to achieve because of integrating all these platform into a single all these equipments into a single platform. So better power availability, interruption and quality report, then energy accounting and auditing. So we are monitoring each and every node on that particular feeder or on that particular substation. So better energy accounting and auditing, loss identification and reduction, because we are monitoring each and every node and transforming data from individual node to a central system. We can properly identify where the loss is and what are the mechanism to reduce the losses. Then the operations and protections. So if operation has to take place from the control room, then that can also happen. And the performance and efficiency. So these are the multiple equipment, devices and stakeholders which has been considered for the architecture, and result we have achieved is a single platform which provides the solution and with multiple functionality which has been achieved for the smart grid. So what all technology platform has been used for development of this architecture? So first is the IntelliMon platform. So that's one platform which is able to connect multiple sensors and devices. So this particular IoT device has a provision to integrate analog input sensors, digital input sensors. It can communicate to energy meters. It can communicate to any Modbus devices. So it can connect to multiple sensors and devices and communicate over thousands of kilometers. So it has connectivity, Wi-Fi connectivity. It has a GSM or GPRS connectivity. It has a Zigbee connectivity. In future, it will have a LoRa connectivity. So this platform can communicate over thousands of kilometers based on the availability. In future, if NB-IoT comes in pan India, then NB-IoT connectivity would also be there. So that's how this device will be connecting multiple sensors and pushing the data over thousands of kilometers. Then IntelliSCADA platform. So it has the capacity to compute millions of parameters. Even just in case of Sky project of Gujarat, there were more than 2 million parameters. So when we can integrate thousands of devices, then there would be huge number of parameters to be processed. So that's where IntelliSCADA platform will come into the picture. So it has the capacity to compute millions of parameters and manage thousands of devices. Then comes the IntelliGraph platform. So we have the IoT device installed in the field to monitor the equipments. Then we have an IntelliSCADA platform which can process the parameters. Then we have an IntelliGraph system wherein we can analyze the data which we have received from individual equipments. So IntelliGraph system provide various analytics, dashboards, reports, and many more features. So what has been the entire architecture? So as I mentioned, connect multiple sensors and devices, communicate over thousands of kilometers, and compute millions of parameters, and manage thousands of devices, and analyze using any platform. So IntelliGraph platform provides open source usage of open source platform to develop analysis for the end users. So entire architecture flows from the bottom. So first it will connect to IntelliSCADA platform. So how it will connect? So IntelliMon device, uh, it has provision for analog inputs. So temperature, pressure, or humidity, any sensors can connect to analog inputs. Then we have proximity, door, smoke, or any such sensors can connect to the discrete inputs. Then the pulse input possibility is there to integrate gas sensors or the water sensors. Then discrete outputs, valve and contactors. So IntelliMon as a device can connect to any sensors. It can connect to any devices which can communicate over Modbus or DLMS for energy meter integration. So it has that possibility to for device connectivity, we have Modbus RTU. For local web connectivity, we have Modbus over HTTP. So even if a user with a mobile app and with a proper credential can connect with uh, IntelliMon device and monitor the data in nearby region with Wi-Fi connectivity or Bluetooth or Zigbee connectivity, then it can communicate to IntelliSCADA with GPRS or Wi-Fi or Ethernet or Zigbee. So that's the medium how it can communicate. In addition to this, we are coming up with LoRa. There could be possibility of integrating LoRa medium, or we can introduce NB-IoT. So all those possibility is there in this. Then we have a compute platform at IntelliSCADA layer. So in this we have IO server, then we have alarm server, then we have a notification server. So a lot of parameters are coming in, so that has to be processed. So that's the IO server which will be passing the messages which has been received from the RMS systems or IoT DCU systems. So it has its own rule engine based on which it will take actions. So if any event occurs or there is any threshold setting is there, then it can be processed through alarm server. So alarm would be generated and it will be notified to concerned authorities or concerned user as per the requirement. So notification server will be there. Then there would be a trend server if we want to analyze the pattern. So all the sampling would be stored and it can be viewed using the trend server, then report server for the reporting, then user and audit for the better tracking and history, who has taken which action at what time and what has been the impact, snapshot of that particular moment, all will be recorded in user and audit, and there would be a web server for analysis. So that's about IntelliSCADA platform. So how actually this is achieved, the scalability is for better management. We have used IBM Watson IoT platform. It's nothing but a broker platform which is being used nowadays for IoT applications. So in addition to that, we have here is a RabbitMQ, a broker platform for device connectivity, and we can use any similar platform for device connectivity, broker platform. So that's about device connectivity. Then we have, for better queuing, we have Apache Kafka platform, wherein all the data which has been sent from the RMS systems, so to handle the burst, we have Apache Kafka platform which does the better queuing and all. Then IBM Event Stream platform is also there for this. Then Azure Cloud Event Hub platform is also there for this. So similar platform can be used for better managing the burst, better management of the burst. Then we have for the big data, we have multiple options are there for big data storage. Then we have Google BigQuery is a big data storage. Then we have Cassandra is there. So all those options are there for the better big data storage. So all those platform has been used, evaluated and tested for better scalability. Then for analysis, we are promoting open technologies such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, Google Maps, then any charting platform. So the data is available through APIs, and any user, uh, authorized user can develop their own platforms based on these technologies or any other technology. So open platforms are promoted for the analysis. So that's how the architecture, right from connecting to the sensors, then communicating the data and the processing of data at IntelliSCADA layer, server level, and then the monitoring of that data. So that's how entire architecture will flow. So coming to how major area of compute, communicate and connect happens. So if we start with the connect here, then we have IntelliMon device here which has a multiple port. So here you can see multiple energy meters can connected to RS485 Modbus port. Then we have a digital inputs, then we have a pulse inputs, then we have analog input provision is there, then relay output provision is there, digital output provision is there. So that's how sensors can be integrated, and if anything is to be operated, then this can operate from here. So this has a built-in facility of edge computing. So for operations, say if any critical event has occurred, then it need not to wait for server to operate. Rather, it can take decision on its own. So edge computing facility has been made built into this. So let's say a threshold triggers, so it will take decision on its own rather than waiting for server to take the action. Then they have a built-in embedded SCADA, so you can define alarms, you can take notification right from this device itself. You need not to get into the IntelliSCADA layer, but you can take the notifications right from there. So embedded SCADA facility has been there. This small RMS IoT device can handle up to 500 tags, and it can integrate up to 50 devices on its own. So all those devices which communicates over Modbus, this also has a facility to integrate the LMS meters also. So we can integrate those devices. So it has a built-in RTC, built-in SD card storage, event processing and notification. So entire facility has been packed into this, and this communicates using these protocols and mediums. So it communicates using MQTT protocol for IoT. So uh, um, now MQTT is the I would say de facto. It's been used in IoT communications, almost all the solutions. So that's MQTT. That's how it communicates over MQTT. Then the communication can take place through either GPRS or through Wi-Fi or through Ethernet or through ZigBee. So it can happen through any medium. And then for local connectivity, we have Modbus as well as DLMS. So once it has communicated, all the data would be transmitted to IntelliSCADA edge computing layer. So that's the IntelliSCADA. It's nothing but a cloud SCADA. So the SCADA which we are using in our all the solutions. So it's a cloud-based scalable SCADA. So that's IntelliSCADA. So again, taking up with a case study of let's say smart feeder management system. So how this architecture has benefited here. So in case of edge computing, we have as I mentioned, there is no requirement of PC, because this device itself can handle up to 500 tags or 700 tags parameters can be handled. So no personal computer or desktop computer is required at that particular moment to take the decision, because this device itself can generate the notification and events and take actions. So it has a built-in embedded SCADA. It has 4 RS-485 ports, built-in SD card storage. Then it has an automatic history backfill facility. So this is a very important feature, history backfill. So coming to the connectivity, if we are using GPRS as the connectivity, so pan India, there are multiple issues when we are going for IoT solutions deployment in rural areas. So connectivity is a big challenge. So if we go on day one, we could find a better connectivity. Then after some days, we find that the connectivity has lost, or because of merging of service providers such as Vodafone and Idea. So day alternate day, they are either switching, switching off one tower and merging all on a single tower. So all those issues are there. So connectivity is a big challenge. So what if connectivity is not there to communicate the data? So a device has the facility to store the data in local SD card storage, and it can automatically backfill the missing data which has been stored locally to the server. So there is no data missed even if there is a connectivity failure. Built-in RTC with 10 years battery. So RTC is ensured that it is not missed. Then the communication would happen over GPRS for this smart feeder management system. That there would be local Ethernet connectivity, and for local monitoring Wi-Fi connectivity would also be there. Then the protocol for metering Modbus and DLMS is used. Cloud for communication with cloud MQTT is to be used. For Ethernet, TCP communication will happen. For smartphone, HTTP communication will happen. So if we have a smartphone and a device has the Wi-Fi connectivity, so over HTTP we can communicate and monitor the data over phone if we have a mobile app for this. And for Ethernet monitoring, we can go for the TCP communication. So we can use any TCP communication tool to monitor the data. Then the multiple sensing, we have digital inputs, 4 numbers for status monitoring. Then the fault relay protection relays for the fault operation. Then the analog inputs for OTA and WTA monitoring. Then relay outputs, 4 numbers for Baker operation. So that's integration of sensors. Then the cloud computing, we have mobile application for operators to monitor the alerts. As I mentioned, that there would be a no PC required for feeder management system, so operators can monitor the alerts on their mobile app only. Then the web SCADA connectivity for engineers for SLD and reports. So there would be a web-based SCADA. So based on that, they can monitor their substation SLD, and they can monitor their reports on regular basis. They can receive notification based on big data analytics and dashboard management. All can be done through web SCADA as well as through mobile application. So that's how a smart feeder management system can be designed based on this architecture, which has been proposed now and has been deployed also for some proto numbers. It has been deployed also. So basically there are two software platforms now, coming to specifically software. So one is a IntelliSCADA platform and one is a IntelliGraph platform. Here what we observed was a IntelliMon, that was a hardware platform. So IntelliSCADA is a cloud-based IoT SCADA, and IntelliGraph is a monitoring library for open platforms. So how it will happen is once the data has been received at the cloud SCADA layer. So cloud SCADA has all this functionality of IO servers, trend servers, alarm servers, web servers, report servers, notification servers, user and audit. So all those facilities built into this. Excuse me. So each and every message which has been received at the cloud SCADA layer will pass through respective modules, and all the concerned actions will take place. So scalability has been achieved for device connectivity. IBM Watson IoT or RabbitMQ platforms are available. For better queuing, Apache Kafka platform is there, or similar other platforms are also available, but most popular is Apache Kafka platform for better queuing. Then for big data processing, Google BigQuery and Cassandra and all other, a lot of platforms are there. So that depends on how we want to analyze the data. So based on the requirement, we can select the better platform. In general case, we can use Google BigQuery or Cassandra. Even MySQL can also be used in a lot of projects with the proper requirement. So once the data has been processed, it will be stored into the database, and for analysis, open platforms of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and the charting functionality will be available. So any project, I would say web application or mobile application, can be developed using the APIs available and the sample codes, and we can based on the project requirements, say let's say we saw the example of smart feeder management system. So if we are going for a smart rooftop monitoring system or smart street light monitoring system or any similar application, all can be developed using this platform or any similar platforms, because APIs are available for this. So that's about cloud-based IoT SCADA, how this has been developed. So coming to another case study which we are working on right now is One Nation, One Solar Energy Data Management Platform for PM Kusum scheme. So I'm sure every one of you must heard of that PM Kusum scheme. It's uh, Kisan Urja Suraksha Utthan Mahabhiyan program of Pradhan Mantri ji. So wherein national government is replicating the project which was a pilot project in Gujarat government of Surya Shakti Kisan Yojana. So in this project, every farmer, not every farmer, but those who are willing to, those who currently does not possess the electricity connection or waiting for the electricity connection, so those farmers can apply under component B of this PM Kusum scheme, and they can get the solar projects, solar power plant and solar pump in this particular scheme. So for this, MNRE has come up with a requirement of One Nation and One Solar Energy Data Management Platform, wherein all the systems of those solar pumps, of off-grid pumps or grid-connected pumps, as well as component A, wherein entire agriculture feeder is to be solarized. So monitoring of that particular system as well. So for component A, component B, and component C. So that's the concept of One Nation, One Solar Energy Data Management Platform, wherein all the components of PM Kusum scheme can be monitored from a single platform at national level. So what are the criteria while designing the architecture of this platform is, so multiple types of solar system, as I mentioned, standalone solar pumps, so they are not connected with the grids. Then the grid connected solar pumps, so that means existing farmers who already have the electricity connection, they can get the solar pumps install, solar plants installed, and they can export the energy and they can earn out of this. Then the distributed solar plants, so entire agricultural feeder that can be solarized and that can be monitored, so farmers can get the daytime power supply. So that's the objective, that's component A. Then the single platform for multiple stakeholders, so farmers are the stakeholder, they need to know how much solar has been generated, and then the empaneled agency, those who are deploying the assets in the farm locations, so those empaneled agency are the stakeholder. Then the state implementing agencies, so for every state the program is executed by state implementing agencies. So for Gujarat it could be JEDA or GUNL. Then the DISCOMs who are also a part of this for component A as well as component C. Then PGVCL, DGVCL, UGVCL of Gujarat, and for other states their respective DISCOMs. So they are the stakeholder here. Then MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, because they are giving huge subsidy on this. Then the direct benefit transfer program, DBT program, so it's a Aadhaar link program. So who has been the beneficiary? So there are three kinds of DBT. One is a direct cash transfer, and second is an in-kind transfer. So wherein government is not giving a cash but giving a subsidized goods. So that's pump here in case of this scheme. So that's DBT program. So they are the stakeholder, and research institutes such as SECI and any solar agencies or say institutes, they are the research institute who can also access this data. So architecture has to be designed accordingly. Then the single platform for multiple processes. So on top of the monitoring system, there would be a business processes such as beneficiary registration, then the DBT integration, project scheme management, how it is progressing well in different states, different districts. Then the asset management and the complaint management. If farmer is facing any issue, they can raise the complaint. So this single platform has been designed to integrate multiple devices, pump controllers, drives, inverters, energy meters, and string combiner boxes. So pump controllers and drives in case of component B, in case of component C, inverters, or maybe pump controllers in some other options. Then the energy meter in case of component C, and component A, and string combiner boxes in case of distributed solar plants, nothing but component A. So all this has been accommodated against the same architecture which I have explained you, right? From connecting, then communicating, then compute, then analysis. So all those has been processed through the same architecture. So what has been the high level architecture for this is, uh, for component A, I'll just repeat once again for a better understanding. Component A is a distributed solar plant. So in this program, a solar plant would be deployed nearby the substation area, and the entire agricultural feeder would be solarized. So that's component A. Component B, existing farmers who has still not received the electricity connection in their farms, they can opt for component B, and they would get a solar plant plus solar pump installed in their farms. So that's component B program. So here they would not be able to earn by exporting because they don't have the grid. Component C is just an addition of component B. For existing farmers who already have the electricity connection, they can opt for this scheme, component C, wherein they can earn by exporting the energy generation which they have done. So that's component A, B, and C. Every plant will have its own RMS system that will communicate to the central architecture, state level SCDM platform. So this will be developed for all the states: Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, MP. All the states, they will have their own platform. The entire communication will happen over TLS SSL encrypted channel. So there would be a device integration platform which we just discussed now in the architecture, initial architecture. So systems would connect to the device integration platform, and there would be additional system modules which we just discussed about the business processes, scheme management, and all those. So there would be system modules. So entire architecture for security purpose, that could be hosted on government infrastructure, so NIC cloud, or if Discom has their own data center, they can use their own Discom data center, or private space in cloud, public cloud, Azure or Amazon cloud, AWS, all those can happen, or Google cloud. Once the data has received, all data would be accessible to farmer and panel agency, state implementing agencies, Discoms, through web and mobile clients. So this system is scalable, and it can manage thousands of systems. Once the data has reached to the state level SCDM platform, it will be parallelly integrated with national level SCDM platform, which is hosted on NIC government infrastructure. So again, this communication will happen over TLS SSL encrypted channel, and the data would be accessible to MNRE, SECI, and DBT. So that's high level architecture. So what's module level architecture? So in module level architecture, we have in device integration, we have device management with TLS SSL VPN. So individual device will have its own unique credentials. So no other device can use that credential. Otherwise they won't be able to connect. So it will be a unique credential generation facility for individual device. Then the SCADA tag processing engine, then events and notification processing, then database server with archiving and historian. Then additionally, because meters are to be integrated, so there would be metadata acquisition and metadata management. So identifying meter change events, and um, if wrong data has been received, then identifying that the wrong data. So for this, metadata acquisition and metadata management will come into the picture. So that's how these modules would be there in this layer. In the business layer, they have consumer management, project progress management, asset complaint management, live asset monitoring, performance analysis, energy accounting, and all those system modules would be there. The same data which is available will be integrated, and they would be able to monitor live asset monitoring. So currently how many pumps are operational in Gujarat, or currently how many pumps are operational in Rajasthan, how much entire generation is happening in Gujarat, how many megawatt of generation is happening in Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh under component A, component B, component C. All those monitoring can be done using live asset monitoring. They can also do the performance analysis. So performance analysis would be uh, it could be area wise analysis. So how one district is able to perform better in terms of CF, and how other district is not performing poor, or if X empaneled agency is there, say Shakti Pumps or any pump manufacturer is there, so how their systems are doing a better, providing better water output, and how other manufacturer systems are providing lower water output, uh, or any similar analysis of what has been the water output in that particular region, groundwater table output, for how many hours pumps are operational, for how many hours pumps are sitting idle, how many generation has been wasted in case of component B, so because they are not connected to the grid. So this could be a better identifier if government provide, if systems are idle for let's say 4 hours or 5 hours and pumps are not operational, and if in case government provides grid to that particular farmer, so that 4 hours or 5 hours of wastage can be converted into a huge benefit to the farmer. So that's similar, such analysis can be done using performance analysis. So for that, various stakeholders are there. MNRE is there, SECI is there, NIC is there, DBT is there. So they are the stakeholders for a national level SCDM platform. So that's how this architecture has been designed to integrate smart RE, renewable energy systems, integration of smart RE systems into this. And prior to this, we saw integration of smart grid systems. So this is about next session. I'll just quickly recap about the first session, and then we'll go for the question answer. Yeah. So this was the case of Sky project, wherein operational efficiency has been improved based on this solution. So losses has been reduced to the 20%. So what all parameters has been taken into the consideration while designing the architecture? So multiple grid equipment, 66 kV power transformers are there, 11 kV breakers are there, distribution transformers are there, renewable energy plants are there, then the prosumer service connections are there. So these are the multiple grid equipments which has been taken care of while designing the solution. Then the multiple device integration which need to be integrated, energy emitters, inverters, pump controllers, then the data acquisition system. So all those equipments has been considered while designing the solution. Then the multiple stakeholders who will be accessing the data. So SLDC, transport, ISCOM, solar EPC and consumer, they are the multiple stakeholders. So resultant is a unified solution wherein in single solution, which is nothing but a scalable solution, we can integrate n number of devices. They're interoperable. Security has been ensured using AES 256. Then the secured authentication and authorization based on a unique username password based security or client certificate based authentication. Then the remote monitoring operations facility secure based on the OTP. So here in remote monitoring operations, a facility is there to generate a unique OTP, and if OTP matches, then only it has to be operated, else it will be ignored. So that's how remote monitoring will remote operation will happen. Then the multiple functions achievements based on this solution is a power availability and interruption quality, report and analysis, energy accounting and auditing, loss identification and reduction, operations and the protections, and performance and efficiency. So these would be the outcome based of this solution. So how this has been achieved based on three layers of architecture. One is IntelliMon, which can connect multiple sensors and devices, and communicate over thousands of kilometers. Then there is another platform, IntelliSCADA platform, which is nothing but a cloud-based IoT SCADA. It can compute millions of parameters and manage thousands of devices. So these are the two software platforms, IntelliGraph and IntelliSCADA. We can IntelliGraph is promoting open technologies to develop or analyze using any platform. That's the main idea. So that's the architecture. IntelliMon can integrate any sensors and can communicate over through GPRS, Wi-Fi, Zigbee, or Ethernet connectivity. Then IntelliSCADA has it can compute through these modules, and IntelliGraph is promoting open technologies or any relevant technologies. They can be used for developing the analysis platform. So IntelliMon is a main hardware platform which has a capacity which has a built-in embedded SCADA and edge computing facility. It can manage up to 500, 700 parameters. It can integrate up to 50 devices of energy meters or any Modbus devices which needs to be monitored and integrated. It has a built-in event processing facility. It can generate notifications. It has built-in SD card storage and built-in RTC. So how this has applied to a smart grid solution? So that's implementation of that architecture in smart grid. So smart feeder management system. So in this solution, there won't be a requirement of any PC because entire parameters will be stored in that IoT device itself, which has a built-in embedded SCADA, built-in SD card, 4 RS485 ports, automatic instant backfill facility, and built-in RTC with 10 years battery. Communication would be over GPRS and the protocol would be MQTT. It has a digital inputs and analog inputs facility for OT and WTI integration. Then a relay output facility for breaker operation, and monitoring can happen through 2-3 different mediums. One is through mobile app for alert notification to the operators, then the web SCADA based monitoring of SLD and live data monitoring, and big data analytics and dashboard. So that's how this solution feature can be provided using this architecture. Then coming to the smart RE solution. So in case of smart RE, idea is to develop one nation, one solar energy data management platform using this architecture. So multiple systems are there: standalone solar pumps, grid connected solar pumps, and distributed solar plants. Then multiple stakeholders are there: MNRE, DISCOM, state implementing agency, farmer empaneled agency. Then multiple processes of business processes are there, and multiple types of device integration: pump controllers, drives, inverters, energy meters, and string combiner boxes. So such device integration will happen using IoT device, and all the data will be pushed to the uh, first state level solar energy data management platform, and secondly it will be pushed to the national solar energy data management platform. So that's high level architecture. Component A, component B, component C, all those system will have their own RMS system. They will push the data to state level SCDM platform. Data will be communicated through a TLS SSL encrypted channel, and once the data has reached to the server, all the data would be accessible to the relevant stakeholders, and further it will be integrated with national platform and will be available to relevant stakeholders. Entire data has to be kept on government infrastructure only, so that was the requirement. So either it could be DISCOM data center or NIC, or in case no one has the data center, then it will be a private cloud. So that's a module level architecture. So that's about IoT architecture, which has been developed by us for smart grid as well as smart RE solutions. So we can take up questions from you. Hi. We can take the questions.
Thank you, Sachin sir, for the wonderful session.
Thank you. We
Yes.
can take the questions.
Yes, we are waiting from the for the same from the participants.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, directly, sir. You can ask. Yes, yes, directly.
Sir, if there is any fault in device which is installed in any site, so
Mm-hmm.
how can stakeholder can identify?
So there would be some parameters which will be regularly sent through the RMS system or IoT systems. In case of if there is an energy meter, so they have a built-in a temper facility. So all the faults are logged into that. So once a fault happens, that will be pushed to the server. Based on that, the records would be available on the server, and if you have observed that the data once receives on the server, it has a built-in alarm and notification facility. So all the notifications will be pushed to the concerned authorities. So immediately they will be notified that there is a fault and they can send the maintenance team.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, my question, hello, this is Neeraj from Nagpur.
Hello,
Uh,
Mr. Neeraj.
yes, sir. A very good afternoon, sir. Very nice session. Actually, I joined a little late, but I listened most of your presentation. Sir, my question is that there are two parts. First part is that India is facing technological problems,
Okay.
and all across the smart city program, we see that it's not going very well. In
Okay.
the main reason behind is that complicated hardware and sophisticated technology and training programs. So
Mm-hmm.
still, if we are talking about SCADA and BOSS and others PLC and systems for
Okay.
our installation, I think it's not going to solve our problem. We have to develop some local manufacturing and dedicated things, hardware for our cities. So how
Correct.
we are going to plan for that? Do we have any alternate solution so that we can not deal with the offshore technology, rather we can develop our own,
Sure, sure.
much
Thank you.
like open source platform?
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you for pointing out that. So I think I've missed that. This entire solution which has been, or the technology platform which has been demonstrated in this presentation, has been indigenously developed by us only. So Intellimon hardware has been indigenously developed here in Ahmedabad. IntelliSCADA platform has been completely right from scratch, has been designed, developed, and deployed by us. So it is made in India. So entire solution we have been working on since last I would say 6 years. And prior to that, many projects were there which were in this direction. But if I talk of a scale, or if I talk of IoT. So we are working since 2014-15 on this. Prior to this, we used to call this M2M, or sensor to boardroom solutions. So a bit change has happened in terms of protocols, or in terms of solutions. But now it's industrial Internet of Things, I would say. So these are indigenously designed, developed, and has been deployed. Coming to the cost and uh, complexity which we have mentioned in terms of solutions. So complexity has to be reduced in terms of usability and operation. So SCADA has been considered for the integration and better management of the device. So this helps proper integrating for better integration of the devices. Complexity has been reduced in terms of usage. So if I just point out the example, user need not to monitor the data regularly. What this system helps the operator is just see the abnormalities. So if there is a regular pattern coming in which has a proper consistent load, then there is no issue in monitoring that. But if there is abnormality, there is a spike, then that needs to be monitored. So we have alarms and event and notification. So based on that or abnormality, it will be notified to the concerned authorities automatically, and then they need to monitor and operate. Similarly, there would be a weekly summary of all these abnormalities, daily summary of abnormalities, monthly summary of abnormalities, and user need to focus on that only. He is not involved into the integration, not involved into the routine monitoring. He just need to focus on availability. His system should be available 24/7. That is what we are providing to the users.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's very comforting that we are doing so much in indigenous, sorry, I like indigenous work environment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Neeraj. We have time, we can take more questions.
I think Sachin sir, there are no more questions. So let us break and we will start our session, next session at 3:45. So,
Okay,
okay. Thank you, sir. It was a very good session. Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, participants, we will meet at 3:45. Thank you all.